to the lightning round.
Welcome.
Well, hello, and welcome to the Dave Kershner Lightning Round podcast. I am your host. It is episode 72. It's the midweek show. We're going to talk preparedness. We're in week 64 of that guy, the big guy. 46 quadrennial Hunger Games, people. That's where we are. And it's only going to get worse, apparently. So, last show, I talked about Glenn Beck and his preparedness episode 185 on the New World Order, and that kind of got me to thinking. So and this all plays into preparedness and self-sufficiency because it's about being able to read the signs, your situational awareness, things of that nature. When mainstream media is out and out talking about this new world order, they're talking about a global economy and every country switching over to a centralized digital currency. That scenario to me just sounds like it is going to be rife with corruption. I don't trust it. I don't want it. But in episode 185 of the Glenn Beck show, he approached preparedness with broad, generalized strokes. He didn't get into the nitty-gritty, but he told you with this digital currency coming up, and this is what I've been saying as well, with this potential for digital currency, I think enough people are going to voice their displeasure, and maybe it won't happen, but you never know with these globalists. But hedging your bets, because this digital currency is not going to be on the blockchain, which means they can manipulate it, which means they can decide for you whether or not you can buy ammo or buy guns or buy food or buy anything. If it's not part of their defined, prescribed algorithm for, say, this is what people in Ohio can buy, or this is what people in the United States can buy, or whatever. It kind of scares me a little bit. But what Mr. Beck was saying, and in broad strokes, was hedge your bets. And if you don't have gold and silver, he recommended one of his sponsors, Goldline. I use JM Bullion, JMBULLION.com. I use JM Bullion. They've treated me right. They have a wide variety of different things, bars, coins, junk coins that you can, pre-1965 type coins. But anyway, he said hedge your bets and start picking up some gold and silver. And both he and I are in agreement that silver is going to be a better option. You can go to my website and you can see on the website the current spot trading prices for gold and silver. It's on the precious metals tab. It's right in the middle of the menu. You can scroll down through there and there's all kinds of buttons, and you can see, I want to see what silver is trading at, and right now it's trading at about $25 an ounce, whereas gold is trading at $1,966 an ounce. Silver's more affordable, and it's going to be easier to kind of monetize within a bartering economy than, say, gold, because gold is so much more expensive. And how do you do you trade a gold coin for a packet of seeds? No. Maybe a silver coin, or a little, a couple grams of silver. They have little silver bars and things like that. But he brought out some good points. He, in addition to hedging your bets against this digital currency, he also talked about securing your ability for clean water, for seeds. He actually, one of his sponsors is My Patriot Supply, which is one of the vendors that I use quite frequently. And there were promo codes and things like that. If you use his name or go through a specific website to get to My Patriot Supply, you get discounts and promo codes and whatever to make things more affordable. But the seeds that you want to look for, you're going to be wanting to look for heirloom seeds. You don't want the GMOs. They're not reproducible in nature. So if you get a harvest of GMO crops and you go try and harvest the seeds and you want to go grow that plant the next year, maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. But the heirloom seeds will work every time. So I would start stocking up on seeds. But you need to recognize that the seeds are only good for 3 years, 3 to 5 years. So you need to, if you don't know how to harvest seeds, it's time to start to learn. And in my book, Preparing to Prepare, I talk about all the different types of foods and the shelf life for long-term storage, short-term storage, where you can go to get things in bulk. We talk about extensively water, different water filtration, water harvesting. So if you're not expanding your knowledge base with my book, at least use somebody else's. Go to somebody's website, go to YouTube, go do something instead of thinking you know what you're going to do. It's a decent way to say that. Don't think that you know how to do something without actually having tried it. I've got my gutter connect, my downspout diverter, so that I can, I installed that so I could fill up my rain barrels. Now, the water came off of my roof, went through a screen, a gutter guard of sorts, went down the gutter, went down the downspout, went through the tubing and the piping, and made its way into my rainwater barrels. That's a lot of points of contact. Therefore, anything I do, if I want to make that water potable, I got to boil it. Because, birds crap on the roof. Debris gets into the gutters. You need to make sure you have clean drinking water. And you can get the life straws and the different gravity filters. Do whatever you need to do, but and I'm kind of freaked out a little bit because it used to be, hey, that guy over there, that guy's a prepper, don't talk to him, and now the neighbors, I try to keep what I do on the down low, but one of my neighbors is a good friend of mine, so he has an idea, but he doesn't have a full picture. But unless they're close family and friends, I don't know if I would be advertising or talking about much of this. I would, you know, keep your head down, but keep it on a swivel and keep moving forward and get your house in order, because it doesn't look like this is going to go away. They've got record high inflation. They're about to open up the borders. I mean, these globalists have literally gone out of their way and advanced their timetables to the point where it's at breakneck speed. And then you throw the pandemic in there with the supply chain problems. And, you know, I went to the grocery store the other day and they didn't have lettuce and they didn't have cucumbers. Things are getting worse. So it is vitally important that you become as self-sufficient as you possibly can. Like right now, great time to get your cool weather crops in there. Your celery, your lettuces, you know, your leafy greens, they're your cool weather crops, to kind of give you a broader definition. But hopefully, you know, you've started your seeds for your transplants for when the last frost has come and gone and you can put them in the ground. You know, I've been saving banana peels. I've been saving the ash in my fireplace so that when I go and get the garden soil prepped, I have amendments that I can put in there that's going to give me the potassium, that's going to give me the nitrogen, that's going to give me all the various nutrients that the plants are going to need, as opposed to, say, using fertilizers. There's actually a fertilizer shortage right now, which means the farmers aren't going to be growing as much food. And here's the irony: the federal government has been telling the farmers, till your crops under, stop growing food. And they've turned the United States into a food importer instead of a food exporter. They did the same thing to the energy industry. They're going out of their way to destroy this country. And you have to be prepared. You have to be self-sufficient, which is why I dedicate one show a week to preparedness topics, because these things are important. They're more important now than when I started the show 15 months ago. Yeah, I actually just realized that the other day. The 1 year anniversary of this show was in February last year. Yeah, that's right, February. And it came and went, and I didn't realize it. And so there you go. If you want information, you can go onto the website, go into the podcast. You can go into the podcast link, and then from there, there's an archive podcast link that'll take you in, and you can see everything that I've done from February 20th of 2021 with episode 1. You can go in and you can read about what the show is, because each one of them has the show notes on it, and you can decide, oh wait, let's see, in episode 7 from April 3rd, I stick to the basics and speak only to preparedness. No politics allowed this week. I start off the episode by sharing my research on a new Generac product, the Power Cell. With it, Generac becomes a direct competitor to the Tesla and Enphase battery backup system. So that's the episode where I talk about different types of battery backups. The point is, things are getting worse. They're going to continue to get worse. Build out your knowledge base and get the things done that you need to get done. And that means seed. That means a knowledge of how to grow things, whether it's in a pot, in a raised bed, in a planter, or, just you've got a tract of land and you got a tiller, go out there and put them directly in the ground. Make sure that you're protecting that garden with a fence of some kind. If you have a lot of deer, make sure the fence is tall enough that they can't jump over it and go destroy your garden. Make sure that you've got the ability to get clean drinking water, whether or not that's the installation of a well or a cistern, or rain barrels, or whatever. We had enough rain here that I could have put a half dozen 5-gallon buckets on my back patio, and I could have collected 10, 12 gallons of water just on Monday, because it rained all day. Some of it was downpours, whatever, but I know my rain barrels are filling up. I can see the water level just going up. And, when it gets full, there's an overflow, so I don't screw up the system and have everything backing up into the gutter and jacking things up that way. So, but get your seeds. Learn how to amend your soil with something other than fertilizer. So that's your fire ash. Use your bananas. Soak the bananas in water. Take the peels, just put them in water. And then every week you go out, you take a cup of water, and you just pour it around each one of your plants. That's a quick way to get more potassium into the soil and then directly into the roots. But I've been saving a lot of the banana peels, and I just literally, I cut them up and into little, I dice them, and I sprinkle it along with the ash all through the beds, and then I till it all in, and that's an organic way to put soil amendments in. So there's something you can do there. But we're talking, I don't know if you can tell, because I'm kind of scatterbrained. Maybe you can, because I'm looking at this stuff and I'm going, when did preparedness become mainstream? I think that's the part that's freaking me out, because it used to be the dirty little secret. It used to be, he who shall not be named type of thing, right? So now it's not. Now you've got people on MSNBC and they're writing articles about, what was the title of this? Op-ed, a new world order is emerging and the world is not ready for it. They're saying the stuff out loud that they used to never say, and if you said the word New World Order, you said NWO, they're like, that's a crazy, kooky conspiracy theory. Not anymore. Now you got people like Glenn Beck going out there and saying, you need to be prepared. You need to be self-sufficient. So, turns out Dave's not crazy. I'm just ahead of the curve. I'm just kidding. I'm crazy. But, and get some stuff done is what I'm going to say. And what you were lacking. Whether that is, again, seeds, it's water, it's, gear, whether it's storage, food, whatever it is that you're lacking, go start plugging those holes sooner rather than later. Do what you can with the resources that you have, financial resources. I'm not saying go take out loans. I'm not saying go leverage your home and refinance your home or do anything like that. Those are personal choices. Those are up to you. I'm not saying to go do that. What I'm saying is maybe speed up your preps. That's what I'd say. All right. Let's take a break, and we'll be right back. And now we pause for some shameless self-promotion. Want to know more about what makes me tick? Then go to my website at davidjkershner.com. There, you can read about my latest adventures on the blog, discover one of the many hundreds of books and websites I recommend. You can even review the blog and podcast archive to see if I've discussed that topic that you've been looking for. Find links to listen to interviews that I've done on other shows, like the 2 interviews with John Jeffers here on the Contra Radio Network, or the ones I did on popular shows like In the Rabbit Hole, the Prepper Podcast, the Prepared Homestead, and Survival Punk. You can also download my research white papers for basic topics like orchards and rainwater harvesting and many more. And you can get your hands on that elusive Critical National Infrastructures Report. Everybody needs to read that. Want more? You got it! You can also find the latest episode of the podcast, find spot pricing on precious metals, and discover more recipes that weren't in my Just a Small Gathering book. Or perhaps you just want advice, you want to ask a question or make a suggestion, then go to the contact page and drop me a line. Or you just want to read about one of my favorite topics, which is me. If you want to do that, then go to the About page and see what factors and events help shape me. Best of all, everything on the davidjkershner.com website is free, so go check it out. Now, back to the show. All right, so I unleashed a little bit of my crazy, but I started reading a book by Jonathan Hollerman. It was it's fiction, but he had a pretty lengthy intro. So far, I'm enjoying it. I'm only a couple chapters into it. But during his intro, he talked about and referenced an article that was written in the Washington Examiner by a gentleman named Paul Bedard. And it was titled, "Massive Solar Flare Narrowly Misses Earth. EMP Disaster Barely Avoided." And in it, he talks about how he references history with this, with the last time the Earth got hit by a massive solar flare was in the 1800s, and it's commonly referred to as the Carrington event. We didn't have technology then, insofar as, microchips, high tension power lines, and generators, automobiles, phones, watches, calculators, whatever. We didn't have the electronics back then. What we did have back then was the telegraph machines. And I reference this in some of my books as well. But long story short, the solar flare was so powerful that some of the telegraph operators reported that their devices started tapping on their own. And some of their devices literally burst into flames. We almost had one of those again. And according to this article, so I'll just read it to you, parts of it to you. It's not very long. But he says, the Earth barely missed taking a massive solar punch in the teeth 2 weeks ago. An electromagnetic pulse so big that it could have knocked out power, cars, and iPhones throughout the United States. This article was written July 31st, 2013. So in 2013, in mid-July, the sun emitted a solar flare. And it went right through, obviously, Earth's orbit. But the Earth was 2 weeks away from where its trajectory passed through our orbit. Had we been hit, we'd have been screwed. Nothing would have worked. These large pieces of electrical equipment that make up our grid are not built in this country. They're built overseas. They take over a year to build, and they take special roads and rigs to get them to where they need to be installed. We would have been out, SOL, for multiple years. because of this. And given the way that our society is structured, 98% of the people in this country don't know how to survive. They don't know how to farm. They don't know how to raise animals. They don't know how to do much of anything, it seems, besides take a lot of selfies and post it on social media. Can you imagine? It's 2013. Burial bummers in the White House. The United States and planet Earth gets nailed by a solar flare. Everybody's screwed. All the people living in these cities will likely perish. There would be a mass exodus like we have never seen out of some of these cities, or I should say out of all of these cities, as they go in search of food and resources to survive. Those that don't get out of the cities fast enough are going to be press ganged, shanghaied into various gangs. A lot of the women are not going to survive the gang rapes likely to happen. Parents will watch their children starve and die right in front of them. I can come up with a million morbid scenarios. And people like myself that write in these post-apocalyptic genres, dystopian genres, and we've covered these bases. But this is actual proof that we got lucky. People that are walking around on this rock, oblivious to the fact that we're on a living planet. Volcanoes didn't just stop erupting; they still erupt. And we have the year without a summer, and I talked about that in a few weeks ago. There's still asteroids flying around that hit our planet on a regular basis. Luckily, they're the size of, basketballs. Maybe a VW bug is about as big as they get once they make it through our atmosphere and start getting whittled down in size. But there's another global killer out there, I'm sure. I'm not an astronomer. I don't have a giant telescope. While the movie Armageddon might have been fun, a little bit of fiction and action adventure, we got hit by a giant rock before. Who's to say we couldn't get hit by it again? We get tornadoes, we get earthquakes, we get tsunamis. It's a living planet. And this is stuff that is coming from a star. Even the stars are out to get us, folks. But the point is, and going back to what I talked about before the break, this is just something that could happen, and it's beyond our control. Can't do anything about it. We're on a planet that is moving around a star at breakneck speeds, and that star emits a solar flare that affects all the planets that are around that star. It'll affect it differently. As far as we know, we're the only ones living on one of these rocks. But, how would you like to go back to the pre-industrial revolution? A lot of people would be like, I welcome it. I'm sick of technology. I'm sick of it, And the problem with that is a lot of people that you love and care for, whether they're family or friends or coworkers or whatever, a lot of them are going to die. If we got hit by a solar flare, a lot of people are going to die. If we have another summer with a year without a summer, a lot of people are going to die. Get your house in order. Current events say you should get your house in order quickly. I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, get the basics covered. That means harvesting water, or at least being able to filter the water. That means getting seeds. That means getting food stockpiled, whether that's canned goods or freeze-dried stuff from My Patriot Supply or any other reputable source and vendor. That means knowing how to protect what's yours, whether that's through training or hand-to-hand stuff, or if that's through firearms or bladed weapons, whatever it is. You need to start advancing your timetables, because the world is not sitting still. The world has accelerated theirs, and you need to catch up if you're not ahead of them. That's it. That's the whole show for today. In other words, get off your ass and get some shit done, because these governments, these globalists, they're coming for you. They're coming for us. They're coming for our way of life. They're coming for our country. That's how I see it. That's the show. All right, folks, be good. We got the Jackassery show this weekend, of which there is no shortage of topics to discuss. So be good, stay safe, stay warm, keep your head on a swivel. I'm out.
Happy Hunger Games, and may the odds be ever in your favor.